Exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, reached an important milestone recently, the 30th anniversary of the very first ETF launched in the United States. And since then, it's grown into a $9 trillion industry. So let's break it all down. What does it all mean? Well, Allison Bonds is with State Street Global Advisors, the firm that launched the original ETF, widely known as SPY. And she says they're going to be democratizing investing. So thanks for joining us, Allison. But first, let's get into what exactly exchange-traded funds are and how they work.
Sure. Well, Jordan, exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, are similar to a mutual fund in that they are a basket of securities and they tend to be diversified. But they're similar to a stock in that they trade on a stock exchange throughout the day. I like to think of ETFs by breaking down that ETF, meaning the E stands for efficiency. They tend to be more cost efficient. They're considerably less expensive than mutual funds. They also tend to be more tax efficient, meaning that they tend to rarely pay out cap gains like a mutual fund can. The T stands for transparency. You can see all of an ETF's holdings at any time on the issuer's website. And then that F stands for flexibility, meaning that you can trade throughout the day and respond more rapidly to market changes.
And so how are ETFs democratizing investments then, and why are they becoming so popular?
Well, as you mentioned, we are excited to be celebrating the 30th anniversary of the launch of the very first exchange-traded fund, SPY, and that has now grown to be the largest ETF in the world. And we have found that ETFs have democratized the way that people invest. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't matter how big of an investor you are, how many zeros you have. My great aunt Melody in Cincinnati, Ohio, can invest in the same investment strategies at the same price as Warren Buffett with an ETF. And there's really a couple of reasons why they've become so popular over the recent years. First of all, in the past, investors have tried to pick their own stocks, and I think we are learning just how hard that can be. Last year was a great example. We saw everything from blue chips to tech names being down. And then I also think investors are realizing how hard it is to find mutual funds that can outperform in any given year, much less funds that can outperform over the long term consistently.
Right. So a recent study from State Street Global Advisors found that investors believe ETFs made them not only a better investor, but more optimistic of their financial future. Why is that?
Well, as you mentioned, we conducted a global ETF impact survey toward the end of 2022, really to get a better understanding of how investors were feeling about the market, knowing just how challenging 2022 was. As you know, it was only the third year in history that we saw both stocks and bonds down at the same time. And that survey showed that more than half of investors said that ETFs make them a better investor, and 60% said that ETFs have helped improve the performance of their portfolio. And you sort of beg the question, well, why is that? Why do they say that? And in the survey, they indicated that they really valued the diversification that ETFs provide, and they also really valued the liquidity and flexibility, enabling them to buy and sell throughout the day, respond more quickly to market movements. I think we've all learned just how important that is in today's environment.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for helping us out with this. But if we want a little bit more information, where can we go?
Sure. You can head straight to our website, ssga.com. There you'll find up-to-the-minute information on the exchange-traded funds, as well as how to best use them in a broader portfolio.
Wonderful. Thank you again so much. Of course, if you'd like to see this interview again, you can head to our website, and that's firstcoastliving.net.